Hello, I'm Diana of Be4STEM, and I'm happy to be with you today to introduce my lesson, Research Shapes and Textures. At Be4STEM, we create ways to introduce early learners to the science of the small and the careers that await them in science, technology, engineering, and math, and with their futures as researchers, technicians, and tradesmen. Today, our lesson involves the properties of objects, and the learner starts by examining the objects with various shapes and textures with the tools of the scientist, and then practices separating them by those same properties, also using tools, some more tools. So we hope they'll find it engaging, and let's get to it. The first tool that I want to share with you is the magnetic wand. That'll be an important part of the lesson. The two alligator forceps will work as robotic arms, and we'll use that to help extend this lesson. Then there is any number of ways to assemble some small items that can be experimented with on any kind of simple tray, but you want a good locking lid so that after they investigate and predict what they're going to find with all these items, that it can be put back easily and brought out again. Of course, there's always a need for safety, and that the students are told only to touch everything in the lab experience. We're in the little lab with the forceps, not to pick up and touch things with their hand, even though they're tempted when things don't work. These work like robotic arms, so they'll pick up and move around items, help them decide how they want to separate them, and we'll come back to how to use those in a little bit. One thing that you can also do is make a little test tube with some of those items, or you can have them pick up the items and put them in a test tube with a tight-fitting lid, and then they have their own little sensory bottle. So now it's time to observe some properties. For instance, is anything in here magnetic? Well, let's see what happens. Obviously, when we pull this up back and forth all around the edges, you are going to move some things. And of course, other than talking about shape, texture, then you're also, while you're doing this, you're talking about how we'd separate things based on the material they're made of and why we would need to know that. So, I created a very simple that you could do with any kind of material, even plastic bases, and these have 6 different materials in the bottom that are glued down so they won't come out. And then of course the student can use their robotic arm to manipulate things off their tray and put them in the one that they think would best fit that type of fabric. Like fabric might go in the fabric one, the plastic might go in over the plastic tray, and then we have some very shiny things in here. That shiny might go in the shiny container. Metal, do we have any metal? Oh my goodness, well, we'll have to look and see. How do we test for metals? With our magnetic wand. Wow, isn't that interesting? We did have some things that are metallic. So now we'll want to pick them up and put them in the tray. Oh, wait a minute. What happened here? I'll be darned. This has metal in it too, even though it looked like fabric. So then we'd have to decide where to put it. All right. So there is another way to extend this activity as well. You can also use your magnifying glass to look at the items more closely and maybe identify the smallest thing on the tray, which is a part of another lesson. Or use your forceps to pick it up if you're not sure which tray it would go in. Maybe we can figure it out by looking with the magnifying glass. And all of those keep students busy for a while. Another way to use these is in a tray like this. You could also investigate right from this tray and put them into these. All of these come from the very inexpensive stores that we shop in every day and find things on sale. One of my favorite things to do with a magnetic wand in this container, where I have buttons from Grandma's button box in the middle, is swirl it around to see if any of those buttons in there are metallic. Ooh, we must have already gotten all the metallic ones out. But again, you can swirl them around in another section and get some more metallic items. And once they're on there, how do we take them off? Always with our forceps. So, yeah, I wonder if any of these things that don't seem metallic are metallic other than that. Could be something else in here. Oh, there's another piece of ribbon that's metallic. And, oh, the feather's only sticking on there because it's attached to the metallic thread, right? But that might be an interesting thing to do. So we have all that. And lastly, we might want to measure. Let's say we want to ask the question, as we do in all our lessons at Be4STEM, what's the smallest thing you know? How do we tell? Well, we use our nanometer ruler. We learn about nanometers being 1/billionth of a meter, and we always are asking that question with every lesson. What is the smallest thing we can measure? So if we use this actually toothbrush holder turned into a test tube rack with some simple plastic with tight-fitting lids, well, we can actually measure. We can measure the things in there. So that would be something to do. And then pour them out on our tray and look at their other properties. And that's all I have for you today on this lesson. If you have any other questions about it, please feel free to contact me. The lesson plans can be found on Teacher Pay Teacher, and I look forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you very much.